Brought to you by ExpressCare Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
Welcome back to Healthy Living. If you're just tuning in, ExpressCare's Dr. Jitka Lom and I are talking about the immune system. All right, Doc, you ready for our viewers' questions?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's get to it then. Our first viewer is asking, are there certain vitamins or supplements that you can take to strengthen the immune system?
Sure. So to strengthen your overall physiology, it may be helpful for you to take a multivitamin. Some magnesium, about 250 milligrams a day, is beneficial for most people on Guam because we don't usually get enough leafy green vegetables. And magnesium supports every cellular function there is. So that's helpful. Then you could take fish oil because of the anti-inflammatory effects on your immune system, so your immune system doesn't have to be working quite so hard. And then the last thing might be some antioxidants. If you're into that, you could take some of those supplements too.
Okay. Now our next viewer is asking, can a poor diet affect your immune system?
Certainly, and you could look at the example of malnourished children in developing countries to see, you know, their diet is extremely limited and they're not only malnourished but sometimes starving and extremely thin. And they're not getting all the nutrients that they need. And so they succumb to things like pneumonia, bacterial illnesses, diarrhea, and so on, where the healthcare workers that work in that same exact fields, but they're coming from a Western country where, you know, they're nourished well, they won't succumb to those diseases. So definitely your immune system is very linked and supported by the diet that you eat. And in our children here on Guam, we should make sure that they're eating their at least 5 fruits and vegetables every day and that they limit their junk food.
Okay. Now our next viewer is asking a very interesting question. Can chronic anger exacerbate autoimmune diseases? And then just to follow up, what are some autoimmune diseases?
Yes, so let's talk about that. Autoimmune diseases mean diseases where your own body is attacking itself. So that is an immune system overreaction. Okay, so an example is Hashimoto's thyroiditis, meaning a thyroid disease. Another one that we have commonly on Guam is Graves' disease, again for the thyroid. Diabetes is an autoimmune disease for the type 1 of the children. Other diseases that are well known now in Guam are lupus, where your own body is attacking itself. And you would ask why? Why is this suddenly happening? Because it's a mistake. The body is recognizing your body as or some part of it as a foreign substance. So asthma is another example of an overreaction of the immune system, where something small, a trigger such as dust or pollen or cigarette smoke, will trigger this enormous reaction where the small tubes in the lungs, the small bronchi close down and clamp down, and you start wheezing. So our immune system needs to be perfectly balanced, not too much and not too little.
So it's safe to say that all diseases affect our immune system?
Yes, they definitely do. They'll trigger off different responses. Even cancer, for example, precancerous cells on the skin, your immune system, if it's in good shape, it'll go in there, it'll see something's wrong, clean it up, no cancer. But as you get older and a little bit weaker, your responses are not as good. The system isn't working as well as it was when you were young. So as a result, most people will develop cancer in their older years, especially skin cancers and any other kind. That's why young children rarely will have any kind of cancer, because their immune system is very powerful and strong.
Okay, so as we get older, our immune system weakens with age.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now our next viewer is asking, can a child have a weak immune system as a result of what they eat?
Yes. So if you think of children in developing countries, if they're not getting adequate nutrition, they will succumb to diseases like pneumonia and diarrhea, whereas, you know, children in developing countries where they get a good diet don't get those problems. So definitely in your own children, make sure that they're eating their 5 fruits and vegetables every day, that they're maybe taking a multivitamin, and that they're limiting their junk food.
And then of course if they overeat or they eat too much of the sugary stuff, it leads to diabetes, which is also affects the immune system.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay. Now our next viewer is asking, can a weak immune system be hereditary?
It can be. Again, in these unusual conditions such as the autoimmune diseases, lupus and so on can run in families. Other asthma can run in families. Eczema is an immune system condition where the skin is thin and sometimes the skin will be overreacting to different chemicals and so on. So yes, it can run in families. The extremes of it, when the immune system's completely dysregulated and then the children are so sick, that one is rare. That's a rare genetic defect.
Oh, okay. What about like bubble children?
Yeah,
is that hereditary? That's not hereditary.
That is a genetic problem, but it doesn't run in families because they usually, unfortunately, don't survive till adulthood.
Oh, that's very sad.
Yes.
All right, now speaking of a sad subject, our next viewer is asking, how does HIV, AIDS, affect your immune system?
Yes, so HIV, the virus affects a specific white blood cell called, which is under the white blood cells, you have a whole bunch of different kinds, and one kind is called the lymphocytes, and under that you have the T and the B ones. And this one, HIV, affects the T cells, which are the cells that fight invaders. So what happens is the T cells roaming around in your bloodstream, and it sees a cell that's been invaded by a virus, and it attacks it and destroys it. That's the function of T cells. So if you don't have enough of them, like with the HIV, what will happen is that you'll have cells that have become infected that are roaming free, and there's nothing to destroy them, and then that's why people with HIV will get all kinds of so-called opportunistic infections, meaning that other people don't get these diseases because our immune system is strong enough to destroy these viruses. They'll get sick from very, very minor problems that other people would never have.
All right, thank you, Doc. Any final thoughts?
Well, I think as far as the immune system, you can have certain blood tests done that will help you assess whether you have an immune system problem. This is a simple blood test. You can check your complete blood count. That will tell you about your white blood cells, of course your red blood cells and platelets too, but it will tell you about the composition of your white blood cells, whether you have enough of them, whether they're in the right balance, and so on. So you can get tested that way. If you think you have an autoimmune disease, like for example lupus or some other arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis is another immune system problem, you can again have that tested out with blood work. So your immune system can be assessed by the laboratory.
All right, thank you so much, Doc.
You're welcome.
Now remember, if you have a question or topic